Oh, cool. Hey, Ross.
What?
There's a new Adam Ragusea video.
Oh, cool. This is a slightly sexy take on your classic British
beans on toast. Instead of normal toast, these beans are on a toasted slice of savory pound cake.
The result is both obscenely rich and much easier to eat with a fork because the bread is so
Adam Ragusea is hands down one of my favourite YouTubers. His recipes are great, his channel's great. If you've not come across him yet, I'll leave a link down in the description or I'll put a card somewhere. Go check him out. He's absolutely amazing. He does some really great stuff. But he's an American. He's playing around with beans on toast. We need to check this out, folks. I'm not sure how I feel about beans on cake. It's, I'm all for experimentation. I'm all for trying new things. But beans on toast is kind of a national institution. I think we need to get into this. I think we need to try the recipe. We need to make it. We need to taste it. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a game changer or maybe it'll be awful. Let's find out. I'm not going to dive deep into the recipe today. Adam's video covers that better than I could, so go watch that when you're done with this one for the full detail. We'll just skim through how I made it and I'll detail the few changes I had to make because of differences in ingredient availability here versus the US. So the pound cake is a basic savoury version of a Madeira cake and I didn't change anything here. Adam directs us to cream 60 grams of sugar with 200 grams of butter. Less sugar than you'd expect, but then this is a savoury cake. I used salted butter and then compensated with slightly less salt later, but you do you. Into that goes 340 grams of plain flour. My instincts told me that self-raising flour was the way to go here, but Adam specified cake flour, which isn't self-raising. And we're adding baking powder too, so I followed his direction, although I didn't actually have any fine cake flour, so I just used plain flour instead. I just mixed all that in and then added orange zest and rosemary. I think if I made this again, I'd cut back the sugar a little more or possibly leave out the orange zest. This was still a little sweeter than I really wanted it to be. The addition of chopped rosemary is a great touch though. I'll keep doing that for sure. And then that just goes into a parchment lined loaf tin and into the oven. Mine took about 45 minutes at 190°C. Once removed from the oven, you'll want to let this cool completely on a wire rack before cutting, so maybe don't start on the beans until it's had a few hours to cool. Now, I did toy with the idea of just using canned beans. Branston are my brand of choice, your mileage may vary, but in the end I decided I really ought to try the full recipe or it wouldn't be a fair test. So to make those beans, we need onion and garlic to start. I'll just chop those pretty fine. Not overly worried about them being super small for this. And then for the beans themselves, Adam used dried black-eyed peas. Dried beans are surprisingly hard to get here, at least according to the random sample of shops I visited this morning. So I just ended up going with some tinned beans I already had in the cupboard. Now the original recipe specifies 1 pound of dried beans, which would roughly triple by the time they're rehydrated. So I went with 3 400 gram cans for a rough approximation. I've got 2 cans of haricot beans, the traditional baked bean here in the UK at least, and a can of cannellini beans. Now I don't want the starchy, probably salty water these are packed in, so I'll just quickly drain them and then rinse them off in a sieve to get rid of any excess. To start cooking, a wide, deep pan goes over a medium heat and in go the onions with a little oil. I'll just cook them for a few minutes and then toss in the garlic and stir. I'll let that cook for a minute or so until just fragrant. Next, in go the beans, and I'll follow that with some white wine. This is an Adam Ragusea recipe after all, and anyway, I think the wine is a great fit for beans. I'll top that up with a little water. I'm using less liquid in total than Adam specified since my beans don't need rehydrating. Stir everything together and add in some tomato flavours to get a head start on our sauce and infuse the beans a little bit. Just some ketchup and a bit of tomato puree at this point. Now Adam makes a point here about the acid levels slowing down the bean cooking time. And he's totally right. It is worth remembering that the wine is acidic too, so don't be surprised if this takes a little longer than you expect for the beans to be tender, even though they're already cooked. Worcester sauce, of course, goes in, and then Adam specifies a spoonful of molasses. Hard to find here in the UK, and I didn't have any in the pantry, but black treacle is almost the same thing, so I'll add some of that instead. Stir all of that together, and then bring to a boil, and just let it simmer. Mine ended up taking about 40 minutes in total. I just checked on them every once in a while to gauge their tenderness and occasionally added a drop more water if it was starting to look a bit dry. Once I was happy, I turned the heat right down and then, as directed, added a bunch more ketchup, additional tomato puree, a fair bit more Worcester sauce, and a bunch of spices. I followed Adam's direction here, except I used onion salt and cut back a little on the regular salt. Adam says to add the juice of the orange. I was a little worried about the sweetness. Maybe our ketchup is sweeter than in the US or something, I'm not sure. So I only added half. And to be honest, I think that ended up being a bit too much. I might add less if I made it again, or just skip the treacle. Definitely worth experimenting. I added the cornflour slurry called for in the recipe too, and that definitely helps with the glossy finish and smooth sauce. Finally, a bit of fresh dill, just the seasoning, and we're done. To serve, I just cut the now cooled cake quite thickly and toasted them in the toaster, which worked fine. I didn't want the hassle of heating the grill, and I already have a machine whose one job is toasting things. I made up 2 plates. On one, I buttered the cake, and on the other, I didn't. Adam doesn't in his video, but I was curious. And on the whole, I think I preferred the buttered one. The extra fat helped cut through the flavours in the beans a bit, and it kind of brought everything together. As suggested, and also for the thumbnail, I topped them with a bit more fresh dill. These look great. Pics and video taken, time to taste. Let's give them a try. Adam's right, you can just literally break through it with a fork. That is delicious. I won't lie, going in, I was kind of conflicted. I wanted this to work because I'm a big fan of Adam Ragusa's work, but I didn't want it to work as a British person, but it does work. It's not beans on toast, and it doesn't really fit with the reason people have beans on toast is because it's quick and simple and nutritious, relatively. This is not that, but it is amazing. I definitely recommend you give this a go. And don't forget to check out Adam's video. I will link it here or here. I think it's here. I'll link it here. One of the side. I'll link it above. And do check out his channel. He makes some amazing videos. But that's all I've got for you today. Beans on cake. Who'd have thought it?